welcome back to Gym Challenge number 8 here at Psycho Turtle Collectibles in Pico Rivera, California. Dennis Geisler, Robert Matthews with you, and we're about to get into Swiss round number 3 here between Richard Salazar and Jonathan Barakat. Richard with the Rillaboom, Farigiraf, Genpao, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Heatran, and Dragonite. And Jonathan with the Amoonguss, Scizor, Genpao, Screamtail, Ogerpon with the Wellspring Mask, and Landorus Therian. Already off the bat, we see we do have that Dragonite and Genpao. Nice combo that we see quite a bit of.
It's a very similar team to what Aurelian Sule used to get second at Lille. The main difference here is that the Rillaboom is Assault Vest, the Heatran is Life Orb, and that the Farigiraf actually has Psyshock over Psychic.
I wonder if that Psyshock is there to work with the Sword of Ruin. Jonathan's side, there is that Scizor there. I'm curious to see if we see much or any of it. Life Orb is its item, Close Combat, Knockoff, Bullet Punch, Swords Dance. What that has. Haven't seen a whole lot of Scizor. Like that Noibat. We'll get into it. Game number 1 here. Richard is going to be ahead 1-0 heading into this. Will be the Urshifu and Rillaboom on Richard's side, and on Jonathan's side will be Amoonguss, Screamtail. Right off the bat, two pretty supportive Pokemon leading here for Jonathan. It does also mean that it's difficult for Richard to get a whole lot done.
Like the Rillaboom is applying Fake Out Pressure, and because of the lack of protects on either Mon, the Urshifu is lack of protects on either Mon. It's not able to stop the it's not able to stop the Fake Out in order to.
Landorus will come in, so it'll reduce the damage from Rillaboom, and Urshifu does not go for Surging Strikes, it'll lower that as well. Fake Out will come out onto Amoonguss. Surging Strikes right into the Landorus, that'll be a knockout in just a moment. Ring the bell slowly. Interesting switch in there. I wonder if Jonathan was not expecting the Fake Out or wasn't expecting it to beat out the Rage Powder for whatever reason, but in any case, that Amoonguss not going to be able to get anything done. Well, it wouldn't have Rage Powdered anyways, it was going for some kind of move. But in any case, that Landorus got absolutely destroyed in turn number 1, and that puts Jonathan on a pretty significant back foot here. That Urshifu is Choice Scarf, so you know it's locked into Surging Strikes now. Not that you can do a whole lot out of that. Screamtail will come back in. Interesting Screamtail here. Citrus Berry item. Trick Room, Wish, Noble Roar, Dazzling Gleam. Richard will switch out the Urshifu, keep that thing maintained a little bit longer. Farigiraf will come in. Rillaboom, the straight up Wood Hammer into the Screamtail. Not going to do too much damage. Spore?
Or that's actually going to catch Farigiraf on the switch in, which is going to stop it from doing something like reversing that Trick Room like it might have come in to do.
Yeah, now the Trick Room is up for Jonathan. Richard has the opportunity to try to reverse this Trick Room. Does probably want to get Rillaboom out of there. Not going to do a whole lot into this right now. And the question, what can come in on Trick Room here to really make advantage of any of this? The Scizor, I believe, is a pretty slow Scizor. So that could be the decision of what to be playing around here, but neither of these Pokemon really has all that much damage, so Jonathan has to have something in the back that will be able to deal with the rest of these Pokemon. Because otherwise, there just isn't the damage to win this battle. Amoonguss will come out, so we will see what it is. It is Effect Spore Amoonguss, so I think
there is the Scizor.
There is a Scizor indeed. Rillaboom will leave as well. In Heatran. Heatran has a pretty good matchup into these two Pokemon. Scizor has to be afraid of that. There's the Noble Roar.
going to drop the attack and special attack of the Heatran.
Pretty valuable, though. Even still, Heatran with a Heat Wave probably still knocks out Scizor if it does not use Terastallization here, which then limits it into being the Fire type. It is Fire Terra. Will then make it weak to Urshifu. That comes back in.
Scizor, because of not having access to Protect, is actually probably forced to Terra here.
Mm-hmm. And that means that Richard is able to pick up a little bit of momentum here if he reads that the Terra is used, and there it is. Saying, okay, Heatran is not going to end up doing anything. I forced you to Terra. Now I get Rillaboom back in for free. No Intimidate on the Rillaboom now. Does have to fake out pressure. You can keep stalling out turns of Trick Room and turns of Regidraft's Sleep. That's a Swords Dance. That's getting close to being a little scary. See the Noble Roar again, so it will be -1 attack still for the Rillaboom. Can never be full attack. Although the Rillaboom does have the high horsepower.
And Regidraft wakes up and reverses the Trick Room.
That is big. That is a big Trick Room reversal there, and that does mean, one, that the Regidraft is now able to launch out attacks if it wants to, and two, it means that Scizor has to be playing pretty safely around this. It's going to be difficult for Scizor to manage here without a Protect. You don't want to lose your Swords Dance by switching out.
It also does not have access to Bullet Punch here because of the Armor Tail on Regidraft.
Yeah, that's also pretty big, although it wouldn't do too much damage regardless up against the Pokemon here. Just a difficult situation for Scizor to be in here. I'm curious to see if there are any outs for Jonathan in this matchup.
Helping Hand from the Regidraft. Going to boost that high horsepower on the Scizor, which is going to do a little over half. Wish from the Scream Tail. And Scizor is going to close combat and knock out the Rillaboom.
A lot of damage there from the Scizor, but it does mean now that it's a pretty free switch in to bring in Urshifu here, I feel. You know that the Scream Tail can't really do much to you, and if you're able to get the Scizor out of the way, this battle is basically done. There are a lot of options here. I mean, the easiest option here is just go with the classic, just go with Surging Strikes, don't think too hard about it. Could Aqua Jet, if you're worried about the priority for whatever reason, could U-turn. Even then, like, the Scizor is just slow. The Scizor is built to work in Trick Room, it looks like, with the Scream Tail setting up the Trick Room. And so now it's going to be really difficult for Jonathan to find a way back in this battle. Did get that one knockout, that is big, but the Scizor at less than half health, no grassy terrain now for recovery. It has to switch out here.
We're switching out to the Amoonguss.
Is Surging Strikes targeting the Scream Tail not going to do very much damage? Scream Tail does have the Citrus Berry. We'll see if it brings it down to that range. Indeed it will. That'll heal up a little bit. Basically undoes that Surging Strikes there. And the side shot targeted into
Amoonguss, and that's also going to do more than half as Scream Tail sets the Trick Room back up.
A really nice side shock there from Regidraft. This does give Jonathan another opportunity. The Wish heals up the Scream Tail even further. It's difficult breaking these Pokemon, as hard as it is for Richard or as hard as it is for Jonathan to deal damage, it's hard for Richard to finish off these Pokemon. Screamtail in particular, I think you have to make sure Heatran is maintained into the later parts of the battle, but now that means what do you do with Urshifu right now? Especially knowing Amoonguss doesn't have the... Amoonguss does not have the Rocky Helmet, but has Effect Spore as its ability. We've seen a lot of Regenerator, but this one has Effect Spore, which means you really don't want to Surging Strike into that slot.
Heatran switching in for the Urshifu as Amoonguss spores it.
The Spore out of the Heatran is interesting. It's not useless, but it does mean now Screamtail pretty much passive, and it means that the Pergerath will undo the Trick Room. And that then means that the Amoonguss is going to struggle here. Like, not the move struggle, but it'll probably take a Psyshock, which might finish it off. It did get 2 turns of leftovers recovery, but might end up finishing off this Amoonguss, which could be a cascade effect, as that means that Scizor will come back in. Although at the same time, if Psyshock comes out, Screamtail's switching out, so it'll get the Wish onto the Scizor. Should heal it up quite significantly.
Heatran taking a turn of sleep, and Farigarath going for the Psyshock into Amoonguss, and it's going to take it out.
Does finish it off there, so it'll be just the Screamtail and the Scizor for the rest of this battle. Does mean the Scizor, big Wish, nice meaty Wish for Scizor, and that'll make it quite a bit bulkier into the later stages of this, although at the same time, what can you really do about Urshifu? That's the big question, I think, going to the later stages of this.
Heatran switching back out to Urshifu. Noble Roar, which isn't really going to matter for this Urshifu because it has a crit move.
Indeed it won't.
Knocked off into Farigarath. Is not going to be enough for the knockout.
Bit of damage back with a Rocky Helmet before the Rocky Helmet, of course, gets knocked off. See the Psyshock damage here. Decent damage. Not great. Scizor is very physically bulky. But now it's going to be difficult to take this turn here. I don't really know what Scizor can do to not get knocked out by the Surging Strikes. And if that happens, it's kind of just a matter of time until Screamtail gets taken down. One hit of Surging Strikes is all that is needed for Richard's Urshifu. And that leaves the Screamtail on its own. It only has Dazzling Gleam as a damage move. Actually, we'll do just a little bit of damage to this Urshifu. Doesn't knock out the Pergerath, though. Psyshock. Not very much damage. This will take a while to take down the Screamtail, but eventually the Heatran will come back in. Eventually it will wake up from sleep, and eventually it will be able to Flash Cannon.
Helping hand from the Farigarath. Richard maybe trying to get this to happen a little faster. Urshifu going for the Surging Strikes. It is going to do good damage to Screamtail, but not get the knockout. Another Dazzling Gleam from the Screamtail is going to take out Farigarath.
And it's good damage on the Urshifu. It will knock it out in one more, but I simply do not see a way that this Screamtail is going to be able to deal with this Heatran in the long term. This Heatran's going to have to be asleep for quite a while. And that'll just be it. Jonathan will cancel it. Richard with the victory here in round number 3, and Richard, a classic top competitor here, will continue forward. Both these players will continue forward. 2 more rounds of Swiss after this. Good battle there from Richard. I really liked the when you see the Dragonite Chien-Pao combo, you're usually like, I have to be afraid of that Dragonite Chien-Pao combo. Sometimes you just don't even have to bring it. That's the nice thing about those kinds of duos.
And into this kind of a and this kind of into this kind of an offensive team, like not having a lot of not having a lot of protects, like is a not having a lot of protects, even like there's in your Shifu there can be a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. We will now take a quick break, and on the other side, we will have round number 4 of Swiss getting further in the bracket. So don't go anywhere.